warm relationships with caring people gives us a feeling of connection and belonging.
Licensed psychologist Dr. Renee Renardi is here to talk about how we can build our village to make meaningful connections. Great to have you back.
Hi, great to be back.
So what do you mean by build your village? Like, I keep thinking about being in, Tahiti.
He's in Tahiti over here.
Tahiti's fine. You can build your village there if you want to, but for most of us, it means building our village right here. When we look at current research, it shows that about 20% of Americans feel loneliness. That's 60 million Americans. That's a lot of people without a village. And it takes work, it takes effort, it takes time in order to do that, but it's worth it. There's some real psychological and physical consequences to loneliness. Increased depression, increased alcoholism. In children, we see more antisocial behaviors, physical health problems, cardiovascular disease, being less responsive to vaccines. There's lots of consequences that current research is showing to this loneliness epidemic that we're experiencing.
Well, how do you tie it to vaccines? What do you mean?
It decreases our cellular immunity and it affects our body in a lot of different ways. So research has shown that's one of the consequences of loneliness. We don't respond as well to vaccines.
Wow.
So this is serious business.
Yeah. I was even hearing some people there was one person in our newsroom today and her desk's kind of in the back and she's like, I need to be by people right now. I just need to be around, other people, hear the voices, because we do get kind of, especially in this area when our winter dragged on so long, you do get lonely.
Exactly. And there's lots of barriers in building our village. So it's good to be able to understand that. And in our area, yes, when it's so cold and when winter drags on, everybody's inside. That makes it more difficult to make those connections. But it was fantastic that your coworker reached out and said something. Most of the time, one of the barriers to building a village is not being able to ask for help. Feeling like, oh no, I'll figure this out, or it's okay, or feeling out of the loop. Oh, I've kind of missed it. I don't fit in with them. And all this negative self-talk is oftentimes a barrier to building a village. Also, geographic mobility. People have moved around now more than ever. My family lives 4 hours away. So like today when Fiona's homesick from school, thank goodness I have a village here in Fargo and my mother-in-law is able to take her today. I don't know what I would do without her help. So it's really important to look at those barriers that you have and try to figure out ways to overcome them.
That was a nice shout out to the mother-in-law too, by the way.
She is fantastic. Thank you, Patty.
So can it be, so much is done now today on the web. Can you build a village online, or does it need to be like physical contact with people?
There's kind of mixed research on that. So there are some benefits they find to relationships online, but we're also in a time where there's so much internet access and people have never felt lonelier. So the research kind of goes both ways. When it's used in an effective way to make some of those connections, all of the activities that you mentioned going on this weekend, I'll probably go on Facebook later and see, oh, what's going on here and there, some of the places that I like to go to. I'll use that as an avenue to then make real in-person social connections. But when it's just internet, that can be a little limiting. It's not the same as the face-to-face contact. And it doesn't help in situations when we actually need physical help from someone.
Yeah, sometimes you do need to be physically around other people to feel those benefits that you're talking about that we get when we're around them.
Right. So, and it is difficult to make those connections, reach out for help. And usually another major barrier is the times that we need help the most is when we're too busy and don't have enough time and don't have enough energy to pursue it. So new mothers, situations like that, it's like, I don't have time to make friends. And that's really when we need it the most.
Good stuff, Doc. Stay with us, much more on this right after this short break.